Why is it important for us to have a consistent pace rather than something else?
Yes, there are two reasons that. So, the way I frame it is, there are two hallmark characteristics of a perfectly executed race or a perfectly paced race, and the first one is steadiness. Now, no race is ever perfectly steady, and there's an important distinction to be made between like steady speed or pace and steady work rate. Work rate is basically how much oxygen you're consuming per minute or how many calories you're burning per minute, and so that's the one that really needs to be steady. Now, if you're on a flat course with no wind, then a steady work rate is pretty much going to equal a steady pace. But on a more interesting course, with some topography and turns and wind and other competitors, then your pace might not be all that steady, like necessarily, but you're still actually looking for a pretty steady work rate. And the two reasons that is desirable, or that you tend to get better outcomes if you are a steadier in your pacing, is one is physiology. So we've probably all seen those charts where you look at you know like uh, like the pace that you can sustain for different durations. So you start at like 10 seconds and like, well, that's an all out sprint. So you can, whatever your top end speed is, you can do that for 10 seconds. And then you go out to 30 seconds. And, you see the curve, right? It's dropping down, 30 seconds, that's three times as long as 10 seconds. You can't sustain quite the same, pretty close, but not. And then you take it out to a minute and the curve goes down more. Then you take it out to, 30 minutes and it keeps dropping, dropping, dropping. Now, if you're actually doing it kind of the other way around, so you go out and you run at hop on a treadmill and you run at 6 minutes per mile, and I mean, sorry, 6 miles per hour, and then you take it up to 6.5 and 7. Obviously, like as you increase the speed, you're actually moving up that curve in the other direction. So you if you sustain any speed long enough, you will become exhausted. But the faster you're going, the sooner you're going to become exhausted, right? The thing is, it's not linear. So every increment, every time you ratchet up the speed a little bit, you reduce your range to a non-linear degree. And so you might think, just like mathematically, oh yeah, if it's all about your average pace. So whether you hold that average pace nice and steady from start to finish, or you undulate above and below it, throughout the race, but you still end up with the same average, it should be, you should be able to perform at the same level. But that's not true, because every time you go above your maximal sustainable average pace, you're hastening fatigue geometrically. Like, so you're just moving the finish line, your theoretical finish line, way closer. So you need to stay below that line, or preferably right at it. So it's just like that nonlinear relationship between speed and sustainability is one reason you really want to keep a steady pace. And then the other one is really physics. There's nothing more costly energetically to a runner or a cyclist than accelerating. So the more erratic your pace is, the more time you're actually accelerating in a race. Like, think of it like an example, like walk run. Every time you get a nice little break when you walk, but then you have to accelerate back to a run. And that's another moment where you're just burning a lot of matches, because it's energetically wasteful to accelerate. So for both physiological reasons and physics reasons, a steady pace is, again, it's never going to be absolutely perfect, but you want to be moving in that direction.